Have you ever found yourself so tethered to that cell phone that it pulled you away from some of life's most precious moments? From tables to deep conversations with loved ones, it's our digital devices that interrupt some of life's most precious connection. I'm Shayla Deem, and today on Speaking of Real Estate, you and I are going to have the opportunity to dive deep into what it means to run a real estate business beyond that constant ping from your device. There was a time in my life where my world orbited solely around work. Every alert pulled me further and further away from what truly mattered. I was so afraid of missing that deal or that message from that client that when I was away from my phone, trying to be present for something else, all I could think about was what was on my phone. I worked from the time I woke up until my head hit the pillow. And yes, I can tell you that I sometimes checked my email at 3 a.m. I didn't always make time for myself or my relationships. I squeezed them in whenever I could, and that left me feeling drained and detached. And it wasn't until a sobering moment when my young son came to me and said he wanted me to not be on my phone for his birthday. Yeah, how's that? I can tell you that my journey from that point, it wasn't about doing less, but it was really about how can I be more present for both my business, myself, and my relationship. It required me to really take a step back and look inside my business and allocate the proper time to the proper areas. It was clear that I was spending it carelessly as someone who believed, or I acted as though I had plenty of time to cover all those things. But the reality is, you and I have 24 hours that we're granted each day as a gift. It's not a given. Therefore, we need to be intentional about touching upon all spheres of our lives, right? Our family, our health, our passions, rest, work. Because to neglect one of those areas is living unbalanced. It's teetering on the brink of regret. So, what did I do to reclaim my life clock back? I had to embrace the art of proper allocating. I needed to see this time as a canvas, something that I can construct, not a battleground. I wanted a long-term sustainable business and relationships. So, how do you get control of your life back in a business that's awarded around productivity? Yeah, that's a big question. And it's a question that I wrestled with as I sought to redefine success and what it meant on my own terms. So stick around. I'm going to share with you why it is we work and the 3 key areas of your life that need to be invested in. These are going to be things to ensure that you start off successfully operating in your life and business together. Now, my revelation, it wasn't the end, right? It was the beginning of a very lifelong practice of mindful living, where every tick of that clock, as you see it, was a step towards a more meaningful existence. I instituted boundaries by silencing the ever-present ping of work and intentionally carved out portions of my day for quiet reflection, for laughter with loved ones, and for the stillness of self-care, and as well as being present and intentional for my business. I began to feel more and more connected to the essence of life. I cultivated the discipline to be fully present, that I understood when I blocked something out on my calendar that wherever I was to be all there. Now, this shift in perspective, I needed to know that it wasn't a subtraction, it was just a reallocation. I was investing my time wisely to ensure that every area of my life was touched. Now, implementing this new framework, it's not going to be an overnight success. It requires discipline, reflection, a willingness to prioritize your essentials over some of those urgencies. You need to set boundaries with technology. You need to make meaningful interactions and know that each step is going to bring you closer to abundance. Now, I want you to recognize that a balanced life, it requires us to be intentional in 3 key areas. But what you must first do is answer the question, why work? The purpose of your career is to make money, yes. But what is it that you are funding exactly? You need to know what that number is so you can focus on it versus just showing up working to get rich. Your number needs to be specific and meaningful. Then we can look at our time. Where are we investing our time? And it's going to be in these 3 key areas. The first area is going to be yourself. Now, I know it's very contradictory because we often hear the statement, not to be selfish, right? And if you've flown before, you know, what do they tell you to do with your mask? They tell you to put it on first, not last. So the first thing is going to be to focus on yourself, your spiritual, your mental, your physical, and your emotional well-being. I cannot move to relationship and work effectively if I do not invest in myself first. Now, do not catch yourself saying, I don't have the time, because that's not the case, right? It's just going to be an excuse. The next area of your life that requires time are your relationships. Now, I can assure you, you do not want anybody that you love and care about to say, you don't pay attention to me, or you're not taking time for me. Or perhaps like my son said, you're always on your phone and not paying attention to me. You need to carve out time on your schedule for these people that matter to you, your spouse, your significant other, your children. You need to remember that relationships grow when you water them with your time. Do not get caught saying you're too busy, because what you're really saying is you're not a priority. And I can guarantee you that's what they're hearing. The third key area, and the last one, is your finances. This is your work in your business. What are you doing to fund your life? Most often, we get in default of living to work and not working to support the life that it is that we want to live. And it's mainly because we have not identified why we're working. Sure, we know we're paying bills, but what in our life are we funding? We need to know that there isn't a limit to how much money we can make in this business. There's more of a limit on time. So we need to be intentional about setting boundaries in those key areas. So all three of these areas need your time, right? They need that investment from you. Otherwise, it's going to break at some point. Either you're going to break, your relationships are going to break, or something's going to happen in your business. So today, as we wrap up, I want to encourage you to reflect on your own life. I want you to ask yourself, what areas of my time do I need to focus on? Where do I need to shift my focus on accumulation and focus more on genuine fulfillment? This is going to be a journey that doesn't have you focusing on richness, but it has you focusing on wealth, having both the time and the money for what matters most to you. Now, if you have found today helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe to Speaking of Real Estate, because I believe that together we are going to embrace a beautiful and abundant life by making these small key changes.